The great hall was silent. 12 ancient rulers sat on their floating thrones. They were the Archons, the most powerful beings in the Valorian Empire. Their skin was pale blue, almost white. Their eyes glowed like small moons. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Princess Kalith Vorshan walked slowly into the chamber. Her footsteps echoed on the crystal floor. She was beautiful in the way all Valorian royalty were beautiful. Silver skin, 4 eyes that shimmered like stars, a body that moved with the grace of flowing water. But today, something was different about her. The other nobles noticed it. The guards noticed it. Even the ancient Archons, who rarely noticed anything anymore, sat up straighter on their thrones. Kalith carried herself differently. There was no fear in her steps, no hesitation in her eyes. She walked like someone who had already accepted what was coming. High Archon Varentis leaned forward. He was the oldest of them all. His body had turned partly to crystal over the centuries. When he spoke, his voice crackled like breaking ice. Princess Kalith, you requested this audience. The council listens. Kalith stopped in the center of the room. Around her, the walls hummed softly. This was the Chamber of Echoes, a sacred place where lies could not be spoken. The ancient technology in the walls could detect falsehood. Anyone who lied here would be exposed instantly. This was why Kalith had chosen this room. I thank the council for seeing me, she said. Her voice was clear and steady. I come with news of great importance to the Empire. Varentis nodded slowly. Speak then, child. Kalith took a breath. In that small moment, she thought of everything that had led her here. The secret research mission to a small blue planet. The primitive species she had been sent to study. The man she had met there. The man who had changed everything. I am carrying a child, she announced. The reaction was immediate. The Archons stirred with approval. Murmurs of congratulation rippled through the chamber. A royal pregnancy was always good news. It meant the bloodline would continue. It meant the Empire would have another heir. Archon Thesara, a female elder with kind eyes, smiled warmly. This is wonderful news, Princess. The Empire rejoices. Tell us, which noble house has earned this honor? Who is the father? The chamber fell quiet again. Everyone waited for the answer. They expected to hear the name of some great lord, some powerful general, some worthy noble. Kalith looked directly at the High Archon. The father is human. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The words hung in the air like poison. Then the chamber exploded. Archons shot to their feet. Their voices crashed against each other like thunder. Guards reached for their weapons. Nobles in the viewing galleries gasped and screamed. But through all the chaos, the walls of the Chamber of Echoes remained calm. They hummed their steady hum. They did not flash red. They did not sound alarms. Because Kalith was telling the truth. High Archon Varentis raised his hand. Slowly, painfully, the chamber fell silent again. His ancient eyes fixed on Kalith with an emotion she had never seen in him before. Fear. This is impossible, he said slowly. Humans are Class 7 primitives. They are genetically incompatible with our species. Every scientist in the Empire agrees on this. What you describe cannot happen. And yet, it has happened, Kalith replied. She placed her hand on her stomach. The medical scans confirm it. The child is growing inside me. Half Valorian, half human. Alive and healthy. Then the scans are wrong. The Chamber of Echoes says I speak truth. Varentis had no answer for this. He sank back into his throne, his crystallized body creaking with the movement. Another Archon spoke up. Lord Vekris, the Empire's military commander. His voice was cold and sharp like a blade. Who is this human? Where is he now? His name is Marcus Cole. He was a subject in my research mission. He has returned to his homeworld. Then we will go and collect him. He will be brought here for study, and then he will be executed. Kalith's 4 eyes narrowed. You will not touch him. You do not give orders here, Princess. Vekris stepped forward, his hand resting on his weapon. "You have committed a crime against nature, against the purity of our bloodline, against everything the Empire stands for. You should be grateful we are discussing this at all, and not simply—" "Simply what?" Kaleth interrupted. "Killing me? Killing the child? Go ahead and try, Lord Vecris. But know this. I have already sent messages to every system in the galaxy. The Kireshi know. The Calculon Collective knows. The Meshkara Hive knows. By tomorrow, every species in existence will know that a human fathered a child with Valorian royalty." She smiled, and there was nothing warm in it. "You can kill me. You can kill the child. But you cannot kill what this means. For 10,000 years, you have told the galaxy that Valorians are perfect, superior, untouchable. And now a primitive species from a tiny planet has done something your greatest scientist said was impossible." She looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "The humans are not what you think they are. They never were. And now the whole galaxy is going to start asking questions you cannot answer." High Archon Varentis finally spoke again. His voice was quiet now. "Tired. What do you want, Kaleth? I want you to leave Marcus Cole alone. I want my child to live. And I want you to accept that the universe is bigger than your precious empire." Varentis stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to Lord Vecris. "Send the 7th Fleet to the Sol system. Find the human. Bring him back alive." He paused. "And Vecris, be careful. If what she says is true, we may have underestimated this species badly." Vecris bowed and left the chamber. Kaleth watched him go. She knew what was coming. The Empire would send its warships, its soldiers, its most terrible weapons, and Marcus would be waiting. She had seen what humans could do when they were threatened. She had seen their history, their wars, their stubborn refusal to surrender even when all hope was lost. The Valorian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had never faced anything like humanity. Marcus Cole woke up screaming. He sat up in his bed, breathing hard. Sweat covered his face. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might break out of his chest. The dream had felt so real. Kaleth's face, her voice, her warning. "They are coming for you. Run." Marcus rubbed his eyes and looked around his small bedroom. Everything was normal. His old wooden furniture, his clothes hanging on the chair, the morning light coming through the dusty window. He was home, safe, on Earth. 2 years had passed since his abduction. 2 years since he had woken up on an alien ship, surrounded by creatures he could not understand. 2 years since he had met the silver-skinned princess who had changed his life forever. Sometimes he wondered if any of it had really happened. He got out of bed and walked to the kitchen. His cabin was small and simple. Just 4 rooms in the middle of the Montana wilderness. No neighbors for miles. No noise except the wind and the birds. This was how Marcus liked it. Quiet. Alone. Away from questions he could not answer. He made coffee and stood by the window. The mountains stretched out before him, covered in green trees and morning mist. Beautiful, peaceful, but the dream would not leave his mind. "They are coming for you." Marcus shook his head. He was being foolish. The Valorians had let him go. Kaleth had made sure of that. She had risked everything to help him escape, to send him back to Earth, to give him a second chance at a normal life. Why would they come for him now? His phone buzzed on the table. Then it buzzed again, and again. Marcus picked it up. His screen was filled with notifications. Emergency alerts. News updates. Messages from people he had not talked to in years. He opened one of the news links. The headline made his blood turn cold. Unidentified objects entering Earth's atmosphere. World governments on high alert. Below the headline was a video, shaky footage taken from someone's phone. In the video, massive shapes were descending through the clouds, dark, enormous, shaped like nothing ever built on Earth. Marcus knew those shapes. He had seen them before. Valorian warships. His coffee cup fell from his hand and shattered on the floor. He did not notice. He was already moving toward his bedroom, toward the closet where he kept his emergency bag. They are coming for you. The dream had not been a dream. It had been a warning. Somehow, across millions of miles of space, Caliph had reached him. Marcus grabbed his bag and his hunting rifle. He pulled on his boots and his jacket. His hands were shaking, but his mind was clear. He had been a Marine once. He had fought in wars. He had survived things that would break most men. He could survive this too. He opened his front door. 4 figures stood in his driveway. They were tall. Much taller than humans. Their skin was pale gray, and they wore black armor that seemed to absorb the light. Their eyes glowed with a faint blue color. Valorian soldiers. The leader stepped forward. He spoke in English, but his voice was strange and mechanical, like a computer trying to sound human. Marcus Cole. You will come with us. Do not resist. Opera. Marcus looked at the 4 soldiers. He looked at the weapons in their hands. Energy weapons. Advanced technology. Things that could kill him before he even blinked. He thought about Caliph. About the warning she had sent. About the life growing inside her. His child. A child he had never known about until this moment. Something changed in his chest. Fear became anger. Anger became something harder. Something colder. No, he said. The soldiers looked at each other. They had not expected this. Every species in the galaxy surrendered to Valorian soldiers. It was simply what happened. You do not understand, the leader said. You have no choice. Marcus raised his rifle. Everyone has a choice. He fired. The bullet hit the leader in the face. The soldier fell backward, dead before he hit the ground. The other 3 soldiers raised their weapons. But Marcus was already moving. He dove behind his truck. Energy blasts scorched the air where he had been standing. He rolled, came up shooting, and took down another soldier. 2 left. One of them charged at him. Marcus swung his rifle like a club. The soldier blocked it easily. But Marcus had expected that. While the soldier was focused on the rifle, Marcus pulled the knife from his belt and drove it into the gap in the soldier's armor. The soldier screamed and fell. The last one fired. The blast hit Marcus in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. He fell to the ground, his vision blurring. The soldier walked toward him slowly. Confident. Why hurry? The human was wounded. Helpless. Marcus reached out with his good hand. His fingers found the handle of his axe, the one he used to chop firewood. The soldier stood over him. Primitive creature. Did you really think you could? Stop. Marcus swung the axe. The soldier did not finish his sentence. For a long moment, Marcus lay on the ground, surrounded by 4 dead aliens. Blood flowed from his shoulder. His body screamed with pain, but he was alive. He forced himself to stand. He had to move. More would come. Many more. He stumbled into the forest, leaving his cabin behind. Leaving his old life behind. Behind him, the sky was filling with more ships. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The invasion of Earth had begun, but Marcus was not thinking about the invasion. He was thinking about Caliph, about his child. He had to find help. He had to get to her. He had to bring his family home, 50 miles away, in an underground bunker that did not exist on any map. Director Chen watched the chaos unfold on a dozen screens. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had spent 30 years preparing for this day. Most people had called her crazy, paranoid, delusional. She did not feel delusional anymore. Director, one of her officers said. We are tracking a survivor in Montana, single human male. He just killed 4 Valorian shock troops by himself. Chen raised an eyebrow. By himself? Yes, ma'am. With a rifle, a knife, and an axe. Chen smiled. It was not a nice smile. Find him. Bring him to me. She turned back to her screens. I think we just found our secret weapon. Marcus walked through the forest for 2 days. His shoulder was badly wounded. He had wrapped it with cloth torn from his shirt, but blood still seeped through. Every step sent pain shooting through his body. Several times he wanted to stop, to rest, to give up. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw Kalith's face. He heard her voice. "They are coming for you." She had warned him. She had risked everything to send that message across the stars. He could not give up now. On the second night, he collapsed near a river. He was too weak to go further. His vision was blurring. His body was shutting down. "This is it," he thought. "This is where I die." Then he heard the helicopters. 3 black aircraft appeared over the trees. They had no markings, no flags. They moved silently, like ghosts in the night sky. Soldiers dropped down on ropes. They surrounded Marcus quickly and efficiently. But they did not point their weapons at him. Instead, one of them knelt beside him and started treating his wound. "Marcus Cole?" a voice asked. Marcus looked up. A woman stood before him. Small, gray hair, eyes that seemed to see everything. "Who are you?" he managed to ask. "My name is Director Chen. I have been waiting for you for a very long time." Marcus woke up in a hospital bed. The room was clean and white. Machines beeped softly around him. His shoulder was wrapped in fresh bandages. The pain was still there, but it was distant now. Controlled. He sat up slowly and looked around. The room had no windows. The walls were made of metal. This was not a normal hospital. The door opened. Director Chen walked in, carrying a tablet in her hands. "You have been asleep for 18 hours, she said. "Your wound was serious, but you will survive." "Where am I?" "Underground, about 200 meters below the Rocky Mountains." Chen sat down in a chair beside his bed. "Welcome to Project Prometheus." "Mr. Cole." Marcus stared at her. "Project what?" Chen smiled slightly. "Let me tell you a story. 30 years ago, a spacecraft crashed in the Pacific Ocean. We recovered it in secret. Inside, we found technology that should not exist. Engines that bent space. Weapons that made our nuclear bombs look like toys. And most importantly, we found records. Information about the galaxy. About the species that live among the stars." She leaned forward. "We learned that we are not alone. We learned that powerful empires control most of the galaxy. And we learned that those empires consider humans to be primitive. Animals, insects to be studied and ignored." Marcus thought about his time on the Valorian ship, the way they had looked at him, like he was a specimen in a laboratory. "I know," he said quietly. "I have seen it myself." Chen nodded. "Yes. You were abducted 2 years ago. Taken to a Valorian research vessel. You spent 18 months among them. And then somehow, impossibly, you escaped and returned to Earth. How do you know all this?" "We have been watching you since you came back, Mr. Cole. We knew the Valorians might return for you someday. We just did not know when." She paused. "Or why?" Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "The princess, Kalith. She is pregnant." Chen's expression did not change, but something flickered in her eyes. Surprise. Interest. "Pregnant," she repeated. "With my child." Now Chen's expression did change. Her eyebrows rose. Her mouth opened slightly. For the first time, she looked truly shocked. "That should be impossible," she said. "The genetic differences between humans and Valorians." "I know." They said the same thing. But it happened anyway. Marcus looked at his hands. "That is why they came for me. They want to study me. Study the child, and then kill us both." Chen was quiet for a long time. She stared at her tablet, processing this information. Finally, she looked up. "Mr. Cole, do you know what this means?" "It means my family is in danger. It means much more than that." Chen stood up and walked to a screen on the wall. She pressed a button, and the screen lit up with images. Star maps. Alien species. Ancient texts in languages Marcus did not recognize. For thousands of years, many species in the galaxy have had prophecies about something called the Bridgeborn, a child of 2 incompatible worlds, a being that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. She turned to face him. Your child might be that being. Marcus shook his head. I do not care about prophecies. I care about Calith. I care about my child. I need to get to them. I understand, and I want to help you. Chen walked back to his bed. But first, you need to understand what is happening outside this bunker. She pressed another button. The screen changed to show news footage. Cities on fire. Ships in the sky. People running through streets filled with smoke and fear. The Valorians brought 400 warships to Earth. They expected to crush us in hours. Instead, they found something they did not expect. What? Chen smiled. It was the same cold smile from before. Resistance. We have been preparing for this day for 30 years. Hidden weapons. Secret bases. Technology reverse-engineered from every piece of alien equipment we could find. She paused. We are not winning, but we are not losing either. And for the first time in history, the Valorian Empire is learning something important. What is that? That humans do not surrender. We do not give up. We fight until our last breath. And then we fight some more. Chen put her hand on his good shoulder. You killed 4 of their soldiers with a rifle and an axe. Imagine what we can do with real weapons. Marcus looked at the screen. At the burning cities. At the fighting in the streets. His people, his species, standing against impossible odds. And somewhere out there, across the darkness of space, Calith was waiting. Alone. Pregnant with their child. Surrounded by enemies. I need to get to her, he said again. Chen nodded. I know. And I have a plan. She walked to the door and opened it. But first, there are some people you need to meet. 12 men and women walked into the room. Soldiers. Scientists. Specialists. They stood at attention. Their eyes focused on Marcus. This is your team, Chen said. The best humanity has to offer. They have trained their whole lives for a mission like this. Marcus looked at each face. He saw determination, courage, the same stubborn refusal to give up that he felt in his own heart. We are going to the Valorian homeworld, Chen continued. We are going to rescue your princess. And we are going to show the galaxy what humans are really made of. Marcus stood up from the bed. His shoulders screamed in protest. He ignored it. When do we leave? Chen smiled. Soon, Mr. Cole. Very soon. Grand Admiral Thesak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was old, very old. He had commanded fleets for 300 years. He had destroyed 17 worlds. He had never lost a battle. Today would be different. Through the great window of his bridge, he watched Earth. A small blue planet. Beautiful in its own primitive way. Home to a species that should have been easy to conquer. Should have been. Admiral, one of his officers said, we have lost contact with the 3rd Assault Group. Thesak turned slowly. Lost contact? Yes, sir, 47 ships. They entered the asteroid field near the 4th planet. Then nothing. Thesak walked to the tactical display. The holographic map showed his fleet spread across the human solar system. 400 warships. The mightiest force the Empire had sent anywhere in a century. And they were losing. Not quickly, not dramatically, but steadily. Ship by ship, group by group. The humans were picking them apart. How is this possible? Thesak asked quietly. They are primitives. They have no fleet, no real weapons, no experience in space warfare. His second officer, a young female named Cora, stepped forward nervously. Sir, our analysis suggests the humans have been preparing for this. For decades. They have hidden bases throughout their system. Weapons we did not detect. Traps we did not expect. Traps? Thesak laughed bitterly. We are the Valorian Empire. We do not fall for traps. With respect, Admiral, we have lost 63 ships in 4 days. The humans have lost perhaps a dozen small vessels. Cora paused. They are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. This was true. Thesek had studied 1,000 wars. He had seen brave enemies and cowardly ones, smart enemies and foolish ones. But he had never seen anything like humans. They did not fight with honor. They did not meet the Valorian fleet in open battle. Instead, they hid. They ambushed. They set traps and ran away. They used tricks that no respectable species would consider, and it was working. On Earth, the war had united humanity in ways nothing else ever had. Old enemies became allies. Countries that had pointed weapons at each other for generations now shared soldiers and resources. Every factory worked day and night. Every scientist focused on one goal. Every person understood what was at stake. Director Chen coordinated the defense from her underground bunker. Screens surrounded her, showing battles across the solar system. Casualty reports scrolled endlessly. But she did not look away. "Status report," she said. "The mining colonies on the moon are holding," an officer replied. "The enemy tried to land ground troops. Our people collapsed 3 tunnels on top of them. Mars base? Still fighting. They turned the orbital station into a bomb, took out 8 enemy ships when they tried to dock." Chen nodded. This was the human way. When you cannot win with strength, you win with cleverness, with sacrifice, with sheer, stubborn refusal to admit defeat. "And the Prometheus mission?" she asked. "They reached the fold point 2 hours ago. They should be in Valorian space by now." Chen allowed herself a small moment of hope. Marcus and his team had slipped through the battle lines while the Valorians focused on Earth. If they could reach Calith, if they could rescue her and the child, everything would change. But that was a big if. Grand Admiral Thesek made his decision. "Enough," he said. "We have wasted too much time on this. All ships, form up on my position. We are going to Earth directly. We will burn their cities until they surrender." "But Admiral," Cora protested, "the traps. I do not care about traps. I do not care about losses. I care about ending this." Thesek turned to face his crew. "The Emperor himself ordered this mission. We will not fail. We cannot fail." The fleet assembled. 337 ships remained. Still enough firepower to destroy continents. Still enough to end human civilization forever. They moved toward Earth. The humans tried to stop them. Small ships attacked from every direction. Missiles flew from hidden bases. Explosions lit up the darkness of space, but the Valorian fleet kept coming. Thesek watched Earth grow larger in his window. He could see the lights of their cities, the blue of their oceans. Soon, all of it would burn. "Admiral," Cora said suddenly, "I am detecting something strange." "What?" "Multiple small vessels approaching from Earth. Very fast. They are not attacking our outer ships. They are coming directly toward us." Thesek frowned. "How many?" 12. "No. 15. They are accelerating beyond safe limits." Cora looked up, her face pale. "Sir, their energy signatures are wrong. They are overloading." Thesek understood immediately. Evasive action. All ships. Too late. The human pilots had made their choice long before this moment. They knew they would not survive. They knew their families would never see them again. But they also knew what the Valorian flagship would do to their world. 15 pilots, 15 ships, loaded with captured Valorian reactor cores set to explode. 15 humans who chose to die so that others could live. They hit the eternal dominion from every direction. The explosion was visible from Earth. A new star bloomed in the sky, brighter than anything humanity had ever created. Children pointed at it. Parents held their breath. Soldiers stopped fighting to watch. When the light faded, the greatest warship in the Valorian fleet was gone. Grand Admiral Thesek was gone. And the Valorian invasion was broken. The remaining ships retreated. They had no leader, no plan, no will to continue fighting. In her bunker, Director Chen received the reports with quiet satisfaction. "They are leaving," her officer said. "They are actually leaving. For now." Chen replied. "They will come back. With more ships. More soldiers. More weapons. Then what do we do?" Chen looked at the screen, showing the stars. Somewhere out there, Marcus Cole was flying toward the heart of the enemy empire. "We get ready," she said, "and we pray that our people reach the princess in time. Because this was not the end, this was only the beginning. The humans had won the first battle. But the war was far from over, and everything depended on one man, one team, and one impossible mission. The Valorian homeworld was called Valora Prime. It was beautiful. Crystal towers reached toward purple skies. Rivers of liquid silver flowed through ancient cities. Gardens floated in the air, held up by technology older than human civilization. For 10,000 years, no enemy had touched this world. No invader had walked its streets. The Valorians believed their home was untouchable, sacred, perfect. They were wrong. Marcus Cole looked at the planet through the window of his stolen ship. Beside him, his team prepared their weapons and equipment. 12 humans, 12 soldiers who had volunteered for a mission they might not survive. "How do we get past their defenses?" asked Jackson, the team's explosives expert. "We don't," Marcus replied. "We go through them." He pointed at the screen showing the planet's surface. "The news of their fleet's defeat has already spread. There are riots in the streets. Protests against the Archon Council. The whole planet is in chaos." "And Kalith?" asked Dr. Sarah Chen, the team's medic. She was Director Chen's daughter and had insisted on joining the mission. "She is being held in a medical facility here." Marcus pointed at a building near the center of the capital city. Heavy security. But security designed to keep armies out, not small teams. The pilot, a young man named Rodriguez, looked back from his controls. "We are entering the atmosphere in 5 minutes. Everyone get ready." Marcus checked his weapon one final time. It was a human rifle modified with Valorian technology. Simple, reliable, deadly. He thought about Kalith, about the child growing inside her. His child. "Hold on," he thought. "I am coming." Kalith lay in her cell, staring at the ceiling. The room was comfortable, clean, but it was still a prison. Guards stood outside her door at all times. Doctors came every few hours to check on the baby. The Archon Council had decided her fate. The child would be born, then it would be taken from her, studied, dissected, and then both of them would be killed. Kalith placed her hand on her stomach. The baby was growing fast, much faster than any normal Valorian pregnancy. The doctors were confused, frightened. They had never seen anything like this, but Kalith was not frightened. She felt her child's presence in her mind, a warm light, a gentle voice without words. The baby was special, different, powerful, in ways nobody understood yet. And the baby was dreaming of its father. Kalith closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. Across the city, across the sky, searching. Then she felt it. A familiar presence. Close, getting closer. Her eyes opened. A smile crossed her face. Marcus was here. The team moved through the city like shadows. Chaos was everywhere. Valorians filled the streets, shouting and fighting. Buildings burned. Security forces tried to restore order, but there were too many people. Too much anger. The great empire was falling apart. Marcus led his team through the crowds. They wore stolen Valorian cloaks that hid their human features. Nobody looked at them twice. Everyone was too focused on their own fear and rage. The medical facility was a tall, white building surrounded by walls and guards. But the guards were distracted. Some had left to help control the riots. Others were arguing among themselves. "Jackson," Marcus whispered. "The wall." Jackson nodded and moved forward. He placed small charges at key points along the wall. Then he returned to the team and pressed a button. The explosion was small but effective. A section of wall crumbled. Alarms began to sound. "Move," Marcus ordered. The team rushed through the gap. Guards came running. The humans cut them down with precise shots. No wasted bullets. No hesitation. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Inside the facility, doctors and nurses fled in panic. Marcus grabbed one of them. "The princess." "Where?" The doctor was too frightened to lie. "Top floor. Room 47. Marcus released him and kept moving. His team followed. More guards appeared. More guards fell. They reached the elevator. It was locked. Stairs, Marcus said. 12 floors. 12 floors of fighting, of shooting, of pushing forward no matter what stood in their way. By the time they reached the top floor, half the team was wounded. But none of them stopped. None of them complained. Room 47 was at the end of a long hallway. 4 elite guards stood in front of the door. They were bigger than the others. Better armed. Better trained. Marcus stepped forward. My turn. The fight was fast and brutal. Marcus moved like water. Like fire. He was not the strongest. Not the fastest. But he wanted it more. He needed it more. 30 seconds later, he stood alone among 4 fallen guards. He opened the door. Kalith was there, sitting on a bed, her silver skin glowing, her 4 eyes filled with tears. Marcus. He ran to her and held her in his arms. For a moment, nothing else existed. No war, no empire, no mission. Just 2 people who had found each other against impossible odds. I came for you, he whispered. I know. She pulled back and looked at him. I felt you coming. The baby felt you too. Marcus looked at her stomach. It was larger than he expected. The child was almost ready. We need to go, he said. Can you walk? Kalith nodded. But then, she gasped. Her hand went to her stomach. Marcus. The baby. It is coming. Now. The birth happened in that small room, while the world burned outside. Dr. Sarah Chen took charge. She had never delivered an alien baby before. She had never delivered any baby before. But she did not let her fear show. Marcus held Kalith's hand. The team guarded the door. Sounds of fighting echoed from below. Time was running out. Then a new sound filled the room. A baby crying. Dr. Chen held up the child. Small. Beautiful. Silver skin like her mother. But eyes like her father. Human eyes. Brown and warm and full of wonder. A girl, Dr. Chen said softly. A healthy baby girl. Kalith reached for her daughter. Tears streamed down her face. Marcus put his arm around both of them. His family. Together, at last. What will you name her? Dr. Chen asked. Kalith looked at Marcus. He looked back at her. Sarah, Kalith said. It means hope. In my language, Marcus smiled. Hope. I like that. They escaped that night. Other species came to help. Ships from races that had suffered under Valorian rule. The Kireshi. The Calculon. Even some Valorians who wanted change. Together, they brought Marcus and his family home. The war did not end that day. But something did change. The Valorian Empire, once so powerful, began to crumble. New leaders rose. New alliances formed. The galaxy slowly transformed. And at the center of it all was a little girl with silver skin and human eyes. Years later, people would ask Marcus what it felt like to be the father of the child who changed everything. He always gave the same answer. I am just a man who loved a woman. The rest was not up to me. But Kalith knew the truth. She had seen what humans could do. How they fought. How they loved. How they never gave up. The Empire had trembled when she announced her pregnancy. But what came after was not destruction. It was hope. It was Sira. It was a new beginning for everyone. The end.